I received the following letter. I recently came back from serving in the military in Iraq. I saw some terrible things there. Some of my friends were maimed, others killed. So were thousands of the enemy and many civilians who got in the way through no fault of their own. Seeing these things and being a part of some of them has affected me in ways I could not have imagined. What was it all for? How can I keep living in a world where such terrible things happen? Nobody can see the wounds I carry, but they're very real. Sometimes I feel consumed with hatred for the people who did these things, including myself. How can real love help me understand all this and live with it?" End quote. Virtually everywhere we look in this world, we see violence, inhumanity, injustice, cruelty, and suffering of every imaginable kind. It would be so easy to conclude that the world is an unbearably harsh place where there is little prospect for joy, if any. For that matter, it would be easy to give up on the world entirely. But there's another way to see the world and the events around us. One day I took my children to the beach, where they built a sandcastle. Considering their tender age, the size of the structure was quite impressive, and they were justifiably proud of their accomplishment. Over time, however, the tide came in and began to nibble at the edges of their castle. The children became alarmed and scurried to build walls around their prize. They even called out for help, and for a while I helped them shore up their defenses against the onslaught of the waves. But despite their best efforts, the waves continued to march up the beach and eventually leveled the castle. The children were heartbroken. With tears running down their cheeks, they were certain that all their fun was ruined. In that single moment, they were certain that all happiness was over. But I suggested that we walk down the beach and find some crabs, and it wasn't long at all as I walked and played before they were running and laughing behind me. Question: why did the children become so distressed when the waves began to crumble their castle? Because of how they perceived the event. First, they believed that the happiness they were experiencing before the waves came was a direct result of the building and preservation of their castle. They couldn't imagine that their happiness might be a result, for example, of an overall pattern of living, or a result of their just having fun because they were playing together while they were doing just anything at all. Second, because they linked their happiness to the building of the castle, they believed that if the castle were destroyed, they couldn't be happy. So, third, believing as they did, they had to preserve the castle at all costs. And they had to do it right then. In the moment they lost their sandcastle, they couldn't imagine a time, even minutes away, when they could be happy again. Hence their tears. What does this have to do with our grief and anguish over our experiences with war, for example? We'll talk more about this in our next session.